God, well, anywhere beneath 14th Street.
And the fun and the cultural element.
It's like this self-induced schizophrenia.
Well, I just thought you might not like what I've done and want to do something about it.
Sorry, I never know when I'm going to get in trouble.
This is WVFP.
It's like if you change one scene in a movie, it completely will change your perception. Like one scene in a movie can completely change the meaning and how things are and how you interpret them.
Right.
So this collage kind of way of making things is the way I think about it all. And especially like, you know, with hip hop is like sampling. That's the way I think of like putting different genres on there. It's like, you know, it's like I'm sampling this idea of like, you know, being yourself is like kind of like a Backstreet Boys. There's elements of like Backstreet Boys in there. And then there's like this metal song. It's, you know, it's a giant like collage where I'm sampling ideas rather than just like actual music. Like I'm not sampling with like, you know, actual records. Sometimes I do, but you know, the idea of like sampling ideas from things that I either grew up with or I resonate with and how it changes the whole picture. But yeah,
nice. And I also like I really like Wabi Sabi as an ender.
Yeah,
I think it's very fun.
Yeah,
it's like a very fun and like cheerful.
Yeah,
and I like you have a little chime in it, like a little sprinkle, like a little glittery sound.
Yeah, that particular album was because a lot of times my music wasn't very personal. A lot of times it was this thing that I was playing characters and it was my way to kind of get outside of myself. But there was a certain realization I had around Theater of Cruelty, but especially that album, where around the time of that album, I was going through a bad breakup and I was also breaking up with my group. So I was at a time where I thought my life was falling apart. And then that was the most personal I've ever gotten. And even that song was just like me telling myself, it's going to be all right.
Yeah.
So it's like I kind of, you know, I'm very thankful that I have this, and especially that album, even though at the time I was done with it, I was like, I don't want to write breakup songs anymore. Like, I was kind of over it. Because, but it was still like, I look back on that album in particular and like, yeah, this is like really helped me. I would hope it helped.
Well, instead of falling it apart, it all came together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
You know? Vocally, definitely those two albums, I feel like they're similar in theme a little bit. At least some of the songs you kind of reference, like Depressed and Entitled, or you know, Being Yourself, or Flies in My Bedroom, kind of like stuck in place, or you know, that kind of thing. And I don't know if it's related to the title of your new song, Brain Rot, but you know,
there's like some weird themes, and I don't ever plan it necessarily, but sometimes I recognize I was like, oh, did I just reference this other song? And I was like, I did. I'm just gonna act like it's intentional.
Is it like you know, you've got your artist hat and then the producer hat, and it's like when you take one hat off and you put it on and you go and you start mixing and stuff, it's like, who did this?
Yeah, sometimes
who made all this work?
Sometimes I do have to like play. I basically like play mind games with myself. Like I have to like when we did the sessions, like for like when we did the session, for example, and I made the DJ sets originally and then I had him improvise to it. I remember like maybe taking like a couple weeks off where I wasn't looking at what I originally did. Like I don't remember what songs he was playing to.
Right.
And so I had to like trick myself into completely forgetting what he was originally playing to.
Right.
And then sometimes it's like, okay, I do all the production work and I have to kind of take a break to basically try and forget that I made this.
Yeah.
Try and forget
like you're a different person now.
Yeah. And it's like I have to play those games with myself.
Well, it's really important, you know, in theater and stuff, we call it design brain and production brain, where you can't let the fact that you eventually have to mix this stop you over here. You have to forget that your job's going to be harder later and just forget about it.
Yeah.
You know, and then when you put the hat on, you're like, okay, I'm the cleanup guy, you know, for my own stuff. And you really have to separate it, or when you're creating something, you might hold yourself back because you're creating more work.
Yeah.
You know, you just got to forget it.
Yeah, no, I think that's how I think about things. It's like, I just have to just like, again, it's all about like playing mental games with myself.
Right.
It's kind of a little weird, but you know, it's what helps me get it actually done, I think.